What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, October 5th. Believe it or not, we are fresh on the heels of the latest Wednesday Night Dynamite. Next week, we know it will be on Tuesday. But we're going to talk about everything that went down last night, break it all down for you, and then give you our usual Throwback Thursday to end the show. But before we do so, let me introduce my esteemed panel. First and foremost, from Philadelphia, probably just like stoked beyond belief about how good Philly sports is right now outside of the Sixers. Not to be that guy, but head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you on this fine Thursday?
Doing all right. Other than the Sixers are horrible, and the best thing for the Flyers is gritty. But Red October, so I'm hoping for an 08 finish and not a 22. An exciting Dynamite last night. We watched that in between. I'm flipping back and forth to the Phillies game last night, as Clark knows, because we were flipping back and forth watching it together. So I'm looking forward to talking about this and a quasi-controversial throwback this week.
Ooh, 100%. I am with you on that one, and we'll break down the Phillies game after the show. I'm kidding.
If we're running out of time, we will.
But up next, from the DMV, the Tuesday Night Delight himself, Shad Huda. How are you on this fine Thursday, my friend?
What's going on, guys? I am doing well. It has been quite a week for me, but I'm here and I'm ready to talk about Dynamite, in the words of my man JJ from Good Times.
I love it. And I love JJ from Good Times.
That's a nice throwback.
I had to cut it just because, it's Throwback Thursday. That was on the money. But let's get right into our first topic here. We've got Adam Copeland, the artist formerly known as Edge, cutting his first promo in AEW. And this thing was fun. From the entrance to the slow build to some of the shoot things that he had mentioned during the promo itself, I really enjoyed it top to bottom. And then, obviously, once Christian gets involved, it just is off the charts. I'm going to go straight to you, Anthony. How did you like the artist formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland, the rated R superstars introduction to the AEW audience?
Oh, I loved it. The thing with Edge, you could see, and I'm going to always call him Edge. I'm going to be straight up with you. It's, to me, the equivalent of the scene in Coming to America in the barbershop, where they're arguing whether or not to call Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay. He's always going to be Edge to me. So just get used to it. That's probably what I'm always going to say. But, you could tell how happy he was to be there, a new challenge for him. And, Christian is probably the most underrated performer of the past 30 years. Like, he has to be. Like, he's so good. And Edge throwing in the little dig of, hey, they're going to turn on you, which was a nice little wink and a nod to what happened to him in WWE with Judgment Day. And, it's a little nugget, a little Easter egg for the hardcore audience to go, oh, he's referring to them. And, Christian being able to drop an F-bomb on air. I mean, I know they bleeped it, but the internet covered it within 2 seconds. You had the uncensored version. Christian telling him to go F himself. It was great. And when you look at wrestling, there are moments where they're like cinema quality. With WWE, that was the Bloodline with the Godfather. This is AEW's like latest one where it's you're invested. Like, you were invested beforehand, but after that exchange, you're like, I want to see where the rest of this goes. Because the best friends in wrestling, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, they make the best rivals because they know you better than anybody else. And they bring out the best in each other. And Edge and Christian will do that. Whether they're opponents, whether they're a tag team, just strap on and enjoy for the ride.
I agree 100%. Shad, did you enjoy it as much as we did?
Did I enjoy it, man? This has probably been one of the best wrestling segments that I've seen happen in this entire year, and that's not even me trying to like exaggerate it. It's just something about that moment, seeing Edge and Christian in the ring together after, obviously that little Royal Rumble moment they had before Christian signing with AEW, but after all these years, and this is something that's fulfilling and something that was on the bucket list for Edge going into the final phase and ending of his career, is that he wants an opportunity to have a rivalry with Christian, tag team with Christian, and just be in the same umbrella with Christian. And man, these guys put so much real emotion into it, man. Just like to Anthony's point, you're you're gonna get the best, organic moments when it is like your brother. Obviously, they're not blood brothers, even though we were growing up to think that they were. But they're your brother, your best friend in the entire world. And Edge brought so much reality into when he was talking to him, just going down the history lane of what they've been through, and just kind of telling him like, man, you need to snap back into reality and just kind of figure out what's going on with you. And that embrace and hug, and Christian giving that line that is going to be, we mentioned earlier, a meme in so many ways. It's just an incredible moment. And this is a feud that is very beneficial to AEW. I feel AEW has not had as many strong suits in regards to building programs or storylines that can be like a money draw. This is a money feud, because this is something that we have over 20 years viewing on television, that a lot of people will have nostalgia into seeing. And both of these guys can still work very well for their age. Like Edge still can work very well for almost being 50, as well as Christian. And let's be real, man, this may be the best Christian character we've seen in a long time. Like he is really hitting a resurgent part of his career, where I feel him for not like wanting to just embrace Edge off the jump. It's like, dude, like get off me, like let me be, like I'm kind of doing my own thing. I don't want to kind of be second fiddle. Like there's just so much meat on the bone that we're gonna get to see with that. And when they have that match, that's gonna be a match that's gonna sell out whatever event, whatever pay-per-view that they do, whether it be Full Gear or whatever. Like that's gonna be a monumental match, a monumental moment. And yeah, man, what a way for Edge to debut. Off that, also, I love the segment prior to it with him and the two other Canadian wrestlers, and then him obviously talking about the list of matches. The guy has so much glee in his face. Genuinely happy for him, man. I think he's gonna, knock it out the park, and I think this feud is a good first step to it.
Absolutely, I agree with so much of what you said, and Turtleneck Christian is one of the best versions of Christian of all time, and I was a peep myself back in the day. So no doubt, I agree with you, basically across the board there. But I will say this: what I enjoyed the most about this was it felt like the early days of AEW, when they would get a big name, and it felt like not only was it huge for the audience, but the performer themselves were so excited to be there. And that's what made this to me. You could see the smile on Edge's face when they chanted Adam. That was a shoot smile. When he talked about what his daughter said about going and having fun with Uncle Jay. When he high-fived the whole crowd instead of running in the ring and jumping on the ropes to hit the hard camera like he would in the E. I enjoyed this top to bottom. I will say the only thing that you said, Shad, that I do slightly disagree with is relating to Christian on this. Your best buddy shows up and it gives you it's been 20 plus years since we've properly tagged together. He's asking politely. I can relate to Christian maybe from way the outside, but not right now. I mean, I get that he's trying to mentor other guys, but you have a shot to go on a run with your best friend. That one is hard for me to have any sympathy or empathy for Christian, but I do understand what you're saying. And then before we move on, I'm going to show a comment from before the show. We've got Earth Dog GFX with AEW 800,000, bro. Ha ha. Ha ha. The joke's on you, man. Competing against Major League Baseball playoffs in the fall season on network television. They have a deal in place. This isn't out of the norm. It's not that bad of a number. And not only that, if the best thing that we've seen all week happens in pro wrestling, which is arguably Edge's return and Edge's debut in AEW, if that happens in front of 800,000 people, number one, I'd assume they tell their friends. And number two, it's on you if you missed it. That's on you. Maybe it should have been 9.
Can I give you a number?
Yeah.
We have over 1 million views, I believe. They're at 1.8 million views 19 hours ago for that segment between Christian and Edge. So,
Yeah.
ha ha, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Ha ha. Yeah, I don't get that one. I think that's one of those things too that just is kind of the nature of the beast with the IWC right now. And
it's one of the marks.
Thank you for
that I talked about yesterday.
looking at the show and tuning in. But I don't get that one.
These viewing numbers have completely made people act like I have no idea, man.
You know what I'm thinking of when you're saying like Christian's on his own? Immediately, the theme music sticks in my head when he first turned on Edge.
Finally, you're on your own. Yep.
The opera music. Yeah.
Wait, we got a comment here. Bobby Petito, Mercedes Monet teases show up at AEW Full Gear. I'd be all over that. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, no, that'd be fun.
That'd be sick.
That would be really sick. But let's move on to our next topic, which is Rey Fenix defending the international championship, the AEW International Championship against Nick Jackson, which is a throwback to the original Dynamite. This was the 4-year anniversary. Anthony, I'm going to toss it straight to you. I enjoyed the match, bit of a spot fest, but as expected, well wrestled match, and Rey Fenix retains.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this one. It was a typical Phoenix Nick Jackson match. Ideally, I know why they did it, because it was a call back to the first Dynamite 4 years ago. I get why they're doing it. Obviously, it wouldn't have been a title match because Phoenix wasn't supposed to win the title a few weeks ago. It was a nice change of pace, making it a title match, but neither Jackson are ever really going to have that singles run. And I don't think that's their desire. Like, they're a tag team. I don't think either one ever envisions a solo run or a world title run. This isn't Edge and Christian. This isn't the branch off. This is more the Hardys. I mean, the Hardys had a singles run, but that was mainly Jeff. I don't see either Jackson ever winning major singles titles, but I could be wrong. Been wrong about other things before. It was a simple match for them. It was nothing like over dramatic. Like, it was nothing that I'd be like, oh my God, you need to see this match. It was what it was, and that's pretty much all I got for that one.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely one of those matches that's like predictable but still exciting because of the pure athleticism. But
you know what you're getting. At
the end of the day, I mean, it was definitely predictable. Bobby Petito, though, enjoyed it as well. It was a great match between Rey Fenix and Nick Jackson. Yeah, I think it always will be if you put those two in the ring. They're so talented. I think this one was just a bit of just the callback to the original episode. So storytelling wise, I don't see Nick Jackson winning that title. As weird as it was, Phoenix winning it at Grand Slam, I don't think that was going to be the case.
It was a greatest hits match. Essentially, is what it was. It was nothing earth shattering. It was they were playing the best hits until our time's up.
Right. And let's move on to our next segment, though. We've got our champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. he's beat down by Jay White and the Bullet Club basically after a promo segment. I mean, not great. And then Jay holds the title up and everything. Shad, what'd you think of this one? Jay White, MJF is enticing.
It's definitely enticing. I think it's intriguing feud just off the fact that Jay White is being positioned as one of the top heels, and then obviously this current day of MJF, he's playing that tweener role, with being in the tag team with Adam Cole, but still being our favorite scumbag. I liked it. I thought that it was a good opportunity for Jay White to get back at MJF, thinking that what happened last week, obviously being jumped, that I got my boys with me. You're not about to get me jumped by your boys. But as MJF said, he doesn't know anything about it. He didn't do it. So we didn't get any Easter eggs from that last week's segment this week, but we'll let stuff play out. But besides that, I thought it was solid. I like both guys. Obviously, we had a sense of comedy with it, between MJF kind of ribbing at all these guys within the Bullet Club Gold, and I mean Jay White does what he does, man. He's got he's very cool. He's like a really cool leader, and he's got a lot of charisma. So overall, I liked it. I definitely am excited for a match between them. I think they said for Full Gear, right?
That's what it sounded like. Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
I think they're gonna try to set that up for Full Gear. The only I don't know. I liked it for the most part. I guess it's just a waiting game. What got me more interested was obviously after when he was in a backstage segment, and Max Caster, man, you gotta relax, bro. You can't be putting your hands on people when they went their hands on you. But just him trying to call Adam Cole, that's the story within the story that we all care about. And we want to see what happens, and I guess it's just kind of a wait and see.
absolutely. I mean, who do you think it was that
I,
beat
s-
down Jay
I,
White?
s- I still think it's Max playing a mastermind role and working with the Kingdom. And I think now I'm starting to feel like it may be a case where he gets just upset and irritated with Adam, where he takes the Kingdom and maybe returning Kyle O'Reilly away from Adam and maybe away from Roddy, or maybe Roddy's part of it, and he takes his squad from him and they align with MJF.
I hear that. I still kind of think, and I know it wasn't Edge under the mask, but what if it was Adam Copeland? What if it was Adam, and all of a sudden, a month down the line, then this is where the Edge and Christian work their rivalry, but then is when we finally reveal it, because we had no even hints at it last night. That's what's so fascinating to me. It'd be funny if that was the work, because I do still believe Edge and Christian as a tag team did their best work as heels.
The thing is this though. Well, I guess it could have been technically a stunt dummy, because I was like, I don't think Edge could have technically done that because he wasn't
No.
on contract.
No.
But it
But
is,
under the
but
mask,
obviously it could be a stunt dummy, and they can say, "Oh, it was Edge."
yeah. I mean, they changed the members of Retribution like 50 times.
It's true.
I still think it's either Undisputed Kingdom, they're framing MJF, or if they wanted to, it could be people that were released by WWE, like a Dolph. Like I could totally see it being
That
Ziggler or
would be
something like that,
interesting.
like leading a group of like ex WWE guys invading in. I I think that either one of those are possibilities. But if it was Dolph, or if it is Dolph, it had to be a stunt double, because obviously Dolph can't legally be
Right.
there. So like in either scenario, if it's Adam, it wouldn't shock me if it's Undisputed Kingdom. It wouldn't shock me. I think either way, MJF's getting framed. I think that's the goal. To frame him, to make it look like it's him. And nobody trusts him because he's the devil.
100%. With that, let's talk about Jericho and Kenny Omega,
Mm-hmm.
the Winnipeg connection against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher of United Empire. Sorry, of Aussie Open, same. Aren't they in United Empire?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're part of UE.
Both accurate. Anyway,
Yes. You're fine.
and then Callis
Ospreay
on
sent him.
commentary, and exactly, and Don Callis' involvement, and then the follow up from Powerhouse Hobbs. Anthony, I'm gonna toss it to you. What did you think about the whole thing? How do you feel about the Don Callis family?
My first thought is, Clark, I love the name Winnipeg Connection. I don't think they didn't use that, right? That's something
I just made that. That was original.
Yeah, okay. I like that. They should steal that. But going into this match, I had talked about it yesterday during the preview show. I wasn't overly excited about this because this is a conflict thing. Jericho and Omega are going for revenge, but they're also trying to build Takeshita and Sammy. Obviously, Sammy's not in this. I said to you, Clark, when we were watching it, I know Kobe's not going to be happy with this. I don't really get much out of Fletcher. I don't see anything special there. Maybe it's me. But it was telling to me that Fletcher's the one who took the loss. Because, like I said to you, Clark, last night, I would assume that would have been Sammy taking the loss. Because I don't really think AEW views Sammy as a guy they can build behind. Because they always have him losing. They obviously protected Takeshita because he didn't take the loss. Jericho and Omega picking up the win. I do like what they're doing with Don, that he's building this group. And to me, it's very reminiscent of Don's former boss, Paul Heyman. This was reminding me of the Dangerous Alliance, where he's putting together pieces that normally wouldn't go together and building his own, mafia-style family. His own bloodline that's not blood. Obviously the kingpin is Ospreay. That would be their kingpin, especially if they're able to sign him. Hobbs, he is a powerhouse. He would be an enforcer for the group. Obviously they stuck Fletcher in there because they don't know what else to do with him because his tag partner's injured and Sammy's injured. So I don't know if he's going to be a recurring or he's just a connection because of Ospreay. But I'm curious to see what they're going to build here. If it is their version of Dangerous Alliance, will they add a woman to the group? Will they add somebody that's underutilized, like a Nyla Rose, for example? Because Don managing a Nyla Rose as like a monster, I think would be hugely beneficial to her. But this feud, the fact that they keep adding more people, it's adding layers of interest. So will Jericho and Omega, will they reach out to a fellow Canadian that was teased last night? Will Edge somehow get linked into this somewhere down the road when he's done with the Christian thing? Will they combine them? Will we get like a blood and guts with all these people involved? There's a lot of options and a lot of moving parts. They could do a lot of things with this.
Absolutely. I will say, do you know how long Mark Davis is out?
I don't know. I don't know if was it a concussion? No. Sammy was concussion, but I'm not sure what Mark's was.
I'm not sure how long the injury is. It's unfortunate because didn't he just come back from injury?
Well, and I was going to say, honestly, and I probably am not quite as low on Kyle Fletcher as you, but I still don't see the full hype from others. But yeah. Mark Davis, when they're paired together, Davis's facials and as the big guy, I think that he's outstanding and it makes the team outstanding too. I think Fletcher's a bit younger too, so like a little more time to develop as well. Right. But at the same time, like to your point, it is interesting to see where they go with that. I love the idea of like Nyla Rose, or even I might even go with like Mercedes Martinez, or just somebody really powerful like that. If not Nyla,
the fact that AEW has Nyla, which is which could be their version of Awesome Kong, and they don't use it. It frustrates me because they bring her out every so often, and then she disappears again. It's like you need to give her you need to push behind her because you build her as a monster heel. Then you can get baby faces over if they're able to pick up wins off of the monster. That's what benefited Gail Kim with her feud with Kong. That's it's 101.
Definitely, and I hear where you're coming from there. I mean, I think as a whole, though, Hobbs joining the family is outstanding.
Smart move.
We got the comment from
presentation of that with
From
him
Bobby,
beating him
I'm
up.
still surprised about Powerhouse Hobbs joining the Don Callis family. What were you gonna say about the presentation?
It was just they made him look so dominant and so like
Yeah.
much of a beast yesterday. Like him just completely manhandling Kenny Omega outside and through the barricades and having his head stuck. Like I really
I
like that.
honestly thought it slightly overshadowed Wardlow.
Well, I think
You mean
Powerhouse Hobbs is a better star than Wardlow. Personally, that's just my opinion.
I feel
Sean,
like they're almost equals.
Sean, I want to ask you a question because Clark and I went back and forth with this last night. The spot with the barricade when Hobbs rips off the bar. Do you think that was intentional or do you think that was a mishap?
It may
Because they looked confused when it
it
came
may have
off.
been a mishap.
I think he
It felt
honestly,
very long too. That whole
Yeah,
segment
I
I
think
was
he
kind of
pulled it
long.
so hard that he actually ripped the metal bar off. Because
yeah,
those things are like kind of aluminum, those guardrails like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the way it was like, I think he was supposed to pull it off of the zip ties, right? Which
Mhm.
logically you'd think he could. I think he pulled so hard he actually ripped the metal out.
Because he
And
looked
because he
confused.
looked at it like, do I use this? But like, it's probably sharp on both sides.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't gimmicked at
Yes.
all. I think he made the smart decision by throwing it to
Yes.
the side and using the grates.
To, to your point, I didn't really like Wardlow's squash match yesterday either. I don't think it looked kind of clunky with
I am
how
a
he
What
was.
I
theory.
would say is,
I
and
have a
it's
theory.
the hardest thing for me. Wardlow is now on like push number 3, and I loved Wardlow when he was actually hot, headed into Double or Nothing
the
last
whole
year.
with the whole Max feud.
Yes, it was outstanding.
That was incredible. Yeah.
And the Powerbomb Symphony is one of my favorite things that he does. That squash last night, I felt like he didn't take enough time between power bombs to let the crowd
He was
start
rushing.
chanting
He was
for one
rushing.
more
Yeah.
or like another, like,
Mhm.
and that I think would have made it just that much better. And I'm no expert on that part of the game. If they were trying to show that he's being more vicious, because Brock Lesnar rushes when he does the Suplex City spots. Now he slows down at different times. I'm not trying to say Brock Lesnar rushes as a whole. No. But at times to show the amount of agility and speed he has for a guy his size and strength, right? I don't have a problem with Wardlow doing that. I think the Powerbomb Symphony though needs to take time because that implies it's a symphony, right? Like it fits the gimmick better, and that's more my point as a whole there.
I feel what they did last night was they digged deeper into pushing him as the Goldberg again, where it's like, and we talked about a few weeks ago when Goldberg made his debut. That's what it reminded me of because there was no nonsense, no talking. He
I
beat
also
them down
that
and
they stopped the match, no pin.
Yeah,
They stopped the match. I really did. That's the one part that I did really like.
You know, just out of brutality. And I said to you last night, Clark, I'm wondering because he keeps saying he wants one more. Are they bringing in Goldberg? Is the reason they're doing this to do the Goldberg thing, and they're making him lean more into I'm not talking, I'm just destroying people. Like, is that where we're going with this? Like, because that was my initial thought, because it was very reminiscent of Goldberg not saying anything when he first came in and destroyed people.
Yeah, I just don't think he fits that Goldberg vibe right now. Maybe it's because his booking has been so much of a stop and go kind of thing. It's taken the juice out of it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you there. But let's move on to the next one, which is fun women's match from Chicago.
Second favorite segment of the night.
Sky Blue, and then Tony Storm's character work right now is off the charts.
It's the best of her career.
Better every week. It's unreal how quickly she reinvented herself too. It's fascinating to me. I enjoy every match she's in. Shad, how did you like it last night?
The timeless Tony Storm is the best gimmick on AEW television, without a doubt. Everything about how they're setting this up with the whole vignettes of her having the interview to just how her presentation is with her entrance, like it's so incredible. She's knocking it out the park, and this is gonna. The main thing I have an issue with AEW always is how much the women are booked, how many matches we have, how much time we have, and we only really see if it's centered around a title, obviously being Stat, or if it being whoever has the AEW Women's title now being Saraya. Tony Storm is going to get herself booked every single week because the crowd and the fans are going to want to see this. She's so good at this. Her like acting towards it and just being this over the top 19 like 30s Marilyn Monroe esque actress is hilarious. I thought the match was entertaining too, just how she played off of it with all of her theatrics. I think Sky Blue was a great dance partner for the match too. I think she definitely kind of played well of like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? And being able to take all the moves and getting a little bit of offense. And I thought it was a solid match. And my thing is this now: the two most over women's acts you have are not champions right now. Tony Storm and Julia Hart. And you guys can tell what the difference is between them and the other ones. They have set in stone characters, they have set in stone gimmicks that makes the crowd intrigued and attracted to see what they want to watch. This is what AEW just needs to do better within booking. Like, they have a lot of women's wrestlers, but they're just women's wrestlers. They don't have a lot of character arc to them. Like the big reason why Britt Baker has so much success, she's an incredible character. The big reason that Thunder Rosa has so much success, incredible character. She comes out with the face paint. They need to kind of like do more within booking and creating storylines with these different characters and creating more character arcs for people. And I think just giving women more time. This was only the only match they had, but I think they did a great job. And yeah, Tony Storm, man, kudos to her. She's like one of the top characters just in pro wrestling in general.
I totally agree. And to your point, I think it's fascinating. I thought she was amazing at selling in ring before, but she sells in that character so well. You talked about Sky Blue getting offense.
She said we're gonna cut into a commercial break.
Oh, it's amazing! And just like the falling down, the way she falls so dramatically, but like it still works within the context of the match. I'm blown away by Toni Storm's short transformation, and I thought she was really good before. To your point though about the characters thing, I'm in total agreement. I'll say this: Britt Baker's been out for a long time. Character, as always with DMD, clear direction, had a character. Thunder Rosa has been out long term also. Character. Just lost Jade Cargill. Character. Right? Penelope Ford, when she had a brief run last year. Character. Kind of has lost that. That's a name that we haven't heard from in a long time that I think can get as over as anybody. And with her athleticism
Bunny too.
And Bunny as well. Although I will say I think Penelope has the higher ceiling.
She's got Penelope Ford has a lot of charisma just with her aesthetic and how she's able to kind of when she walked she was doing the bad girl thing
splits.
Yeah, and then just she has a very like commanding look. Like she walks in thinking that like in the same way as like Jada is like you walk in, you command the room. That's kind of just how your whole thing is. Everything doesn't have to be how great you talk on the mic, right?
Yeah.
How your body language is, your presentation. Presence is key. Like we see it a lot on NXT. Like there's like a person like Stratton, a person like Blair Davenport. Like they have a lot of like presence to them, and you see it week by week. And it's a reason why they're.
It took the Undertaker like 5 years to talk.
You can't.
It took him like 5 years to say anything.
You can't teach an it factor. Yeah. There's just something about certain people. You're like, that's a star. Like when you looked at Jade, limited time experience in the ring. The moment you first saw her, you went, that's a star. And that's something that like a lot of people don't realize. And I know like Shad, what you were saying with like character. AEW really doesn't focus so much on that. WWE really is very character driven and story driven.
But I think right now both are having
no. But I'm just saying, like as far as like the women's wrestlers, especially, it seems like they just stick them out there and like, eat up 10 minutes, and we're going to go on. It's the reason why Tony is so good right now is because there's a character. It's entertaining. It's interesting.
And to your point, though, about both women's divisions, and I know you compared it to WWE. WWE, I think, hit a stride for a bit, but I would say they really lost. I mean, Bailey's direction as a character, gone. Becky Lynch's direction as a character, the man, Big Time Bex.
Nah, I think Becky's the only outlier, to be honest with you.
Becky's so big it doesn't matter anymore, but this is like when John Cena became Super Cena and was no longer the character John Cena. It gets, I'm not saying Becky's stale, she's not, but it's just Becky Lynch now. There's no the man, there's not that wave where the roof blows off. I mean, yes, there's big pops for Becky Lynch, but it's not like what it was. Charlotte Flair, the queen, that's not really kind of pushed. Ripley is stuck in the Judgment Day thing.
We'll see. Hold up, I have to disagree with you there because I think the reason why Rhea is so dominant and over. Let's think about it like this. I said it on Tuesday. I think
character
dominant. She's dominant.
No, I know. Isn't it Dominic's character though that adds to the whole thing?
Oh yeah, it's the faction.
It's the
faction as a whole, but she's the she's the pseudo leader of the group, and it's her. Rhea Ripley's presence is what makes people not bat an eye that she barely wrestles a match. Okay, it's like the same thing with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has the presence where you don't need to see him wrestle so often.
But while I'm up, let's go. Alexa Bliss, no longer the goddess. Where's she been?
She's having a baby.
She's out on maternity.
She's pregnant, dog.
Before that, though, I mean, like after the goddess character washed out,
well, that all fell apart with the Fiend.
We saw a lot of spitting and
stuff.
That
was bad booking. Yeah,
I think we're going down a rabbit hole.
And my point is, character-wise, I feel like it's. I mean, the Bella twins, go back there, were definitive characters. It made
the gimmick was they were twins,
but then you also had the powerhouse, and then the younger, skinnier twin and Brie, and that dynamic when they weren't together and whatnot. Like there was more storytelling there than just their twins. I mean, I would even add, as far as gimmicks go in women's wrestling that they've messed up. I mean, what in the world is going on with Bianca Belair right now? She's the EST.
She's got, I mean, she is off television for the time being, but
I know, but I mean, it's like the EST character was the key, and they deviated from that slightly into Mania.
But that's the super. So if you're to compare the Super Cena kind of thing, that would be more geared to what Bianca.
That was her character.
Yeah.
But she was getting a little stale during that women's title run, so it makes sense to take her off TV and make the audience.
Yeah, you gotta make people miss you. And now the thing is this: they just added a person to the roster that got everyone like, oh, when Bianca comes,
her future dance partner, yes.
When Bianca comes back, we're gonna get that. Like Jade coming, and we're obviously gonna get to Throwback in a second.
Yeah.
But my last thing. Jade coming, in a way, does so much for the women's division because it adds so much excitement to every other woman that she can possibly face.
It's true.
So, especially Bianca. But yeah, my bad.
Yep. No, I agree with you there.
You're 100%.
Good. Let's move on to Throwback, though. We do have plenty of time, thankfully. We had Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara jump to WCW, controversially leaving WWE Creative to take over WCW Creative. Was this 99. Sorry, late 99. Late 99. Got to get the year right. Anthony, I'm going to toss it to you right away. Give me your memories from this big move.
Yeah, to give the backstory here, Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara were the head writers of WWF at the time. They did not have a massive creative team. It was like them, Vince, and like a committee of people, like Bruce Pritchard and people like that. Jim Cornette at one point. This was a major jump, but Russo and Ferrara sold themselves to the executives of Turner that they were Vince's secret weapon. We're responsible for the Attitude Era. We are responsible for WWF retaking the ratings lead. We could resurrect WCW. Now, I know Russo hates this when everybody says this, but every time Vince Russo has been the head of creative without Vince McMahon as the filter, it's been a disaster. For every one great idea, he has had several horrible ideas. We saw it in WCW. We would eventually see it in TNA. This run was such a disaster. When you think of the things that happened, he brings in Dustin Rhodes, who was Goldust in WWF, and gives him a gimmick called Seven, which essentially was like an Uncle Fester looking character that was creepy like a pedophile. And they killed it off literally when he made his debut. They spent thousands of dollars airing these promos and doing this grand entrance. This got us Viagra on a pole. This got us Judy Bagwell on a forklift. This got us David Arquette as WCW World Champion and Vince Russo as WCW World Champion. This was an absolute disaster of a run. Clearly it didn't do what they promised. There's blame all around. Russo goes, "Oh, they took me out of position. If I would have gotten free reign, I would have drove up the ratings." Nobody was solving that sinking ship. I mean, there was a theory for the longest time, and you guys could probably remember hearing this rumor. Oh, Vince clearly sent Russo down there to put the final nail in WCW. There was, for the longest time, everyone was convinced that they were sent down there to kill it. But that couldn't have been true at that time. There was a lot more that went into that. They were the final nail in the coffin. They definitely didn't help. And the biggest thing with that run is, and people fail to realize this, WCW and WWF were two different audiences. WCW was more traditional wrestling. It's the equivalent of now of the AEW audience. They're similar at different points, but there is a certain style of wrestling that the AEW audience prefers. They don't like what WWE is doing. Cody Rhodes is the perfect example. They booed him like crazy in AEW. Comes to WWE, he's the prodigal son. People forget that there's a different type of audience thing. But, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with so much of what you said, and I think it's interesting. Vince Russo did a lot of great things.
Oh, absolutely.
In the WWE. To me, he's like a little bit like Disco, not Inferno, but like the music. Like he only really fit one era. You know what I mean? Like you can appreciate it in the future, like watching it back. But if it was active now, it doesn't make sense. And I think the world kind of headed into the 2000s, that late 90s like fever, where you get like, everyone was uncomfortable, Y2K and all of that, and there was grunge, and it was like the super 90s stuff. Crash TV made perfect sense. You're finally hitting the tail end of that, and everyone's starting to kind of grow up from that same exact age group too. Mm-hmm. And then you add, like you said, the on a pole. I mean, the funniest one to me is the one, I believe it was Booker T and
the gold diggers. No.
Match. I'm talking about the one where they had the mystery boxes.
The crates. It was the coal miners match.
Coal miners match, yeah. And you got the
I remember that.
When Booker T opened the picture of
the
Scott Hall,
fell out on the other side.
His face looked like he was going to throw up in the ring. He was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Shad, you got memories from the Ed Ferrara and Vince Russo WCW era?
No, I mean, as Anthony kind of painted it as a whole, man, like it was the beginning of the end, right? Like he kind of just let it down to a downward spiral. And the funniest thing to me was just him booking himself to win the belt, man. Like
in a Barry Bonds jersey.
And remember, we talked about this last week. The night he won the title was the first night WWF was on TNN. Oh, yeah. That's what his decision was.
The one that cracks me up too is not only did he book himself to win the title, but Hogan walking out is just like
the dark side episode.
If you thought the Montreal screw job was exposing the business, Vince Russo was like, look at this. I mean, it was unreal. It's like he wanted to put a magnifying glass over it. it's one of those things. I don't know what it was worth. I can't believe he did it with Jerry Jarrett's son in the ring of all people. A
Yeah,
promoter
that's
split.
true.
It's just absolutely wild to think about in hindsight. That what a time for wrestling and what a time. But that does bring us to the end of today's daily broadcast. Throwback Thursday was a blast as usual. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed already, please do. Check us out, WrestlingRepublic.com, at Wrestling Republic on Instagram, at Wrestling Republic on X. Check out me and Shad on Tuesday nights with Drizzy. Check out Anthony and I on, sorry, pointing the wrong way. Anthony and I on Sold Separately. We got new ones coming here late in the fall. I think we got a new plan here for a little relaunch after a brief hiatus. But with that, we'll talk to you guys soon, and then it'll be at the normal time tomorrow noon. And what were you gonna say, Shad?
Next week's gonna be fun, man. We're not gonna review Dynamite. We got some different for y'all. So
all we know was a throwback, and we have no idea what else. So
we got a big week,
but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We might go throwback and Thursday fun day. Maybe play games. We might play games.
We'll figure it out.
Either way, we'll see you guys next week or tomorrow. See you tomorrow.